It all starts in the middle of an island called Nantucket at the rehearsal dinner of the bride and groom, Benji and Amelia, who they are about to get married. Groom is a member of the Winberry family, one of the wealthiest on the island. Here we all know his mother called Greer, her father Tag, and her two brothers Thomas and William, plus their sister-in-law Abby, who is pregnant with Thomas. By her part, Amelia, who comes from a family the most humble has brought to his wedding. His best friend married besides her parents, just one day before the wedding, while the guests had a great time. During this rehearsal at night, it happens a terrible crime and tragedy. Found dead early in the morning. Official Dan Carter and Nikki Henry are in charge of this investigation. And now they have to question everyone guests of that night because they are all suspects. Amelia is the most affected in all this. Well, it was she who found her lifeless friend floating in the water. She was just trying on her dress of a bride and stayed like that and for the interrogation before we know that Benji's mother is a famous novelist. And although I was not very happy with the couple that his son chose did not skimp in expenses when planning and wanted. Let it be the wedding of the season for women who hides many secrets. Unfortunately, the same day of the rehearsal, she found out that her husband was cheating because he acquired a bracelet, very expensive, that it was for someone else, leaving her very bewildered and above all worried. On the other hand, we found out that Amelia was doubting what felt for Benji, although Merritt believed that it was just because he was getting scared. Get married. However, the exact reason is because Amelia began to notice him, her boyfriend's best friend named Shooter, and also godfather of his wedding returning. At present, Amelia feels guilty because of what happened to her friend, because during the night of the rehearsal, he found out that Merritt, she was her father-in-law's lover, and also, she was pregnant. Something made her angry a lot and argued with her friend a very bad manner while the officers, they checked the area and found out from the coroner that Mary had water in her lungs, a cut on the left foot, and bruises on both wrists. From her part, Greer agrees with his entire family that everyone should have a version of it what happened to Mare for supposedly mitigate damage with the press due to its profession. And this is to say that they believed that the young woman took her own life. Amelia, no. He agrees with this because he believes that her friend wouldn't do something like that, though. The family believes that it is best not to give unnecessary statements to top it all off. Benji asks his girlfriend to sign a confidentiality agreement. Well, her mother being a public figure, I might get into trouble for what happened. Amelia, quite doubtful, has no other choice and ends up signing while Shooter is. It makes you nervous with everything that is passing by and decides to leave the island. Despite that the police informed everyone that the officers should not go out, just 2 fingerprints found on the phone. Merritt, and one of them is from Shooter, by what to do when asking him some questions. They see that this one is no longer the officers. They know that the only place where can escape is by ferry, so they go there and end up arresting just because he intended to escape from them more. Late Amelia can't stand it anymore and decides to go to confess to the police that she was sleeping with Merritt and got pregnant. She thinks that someone probably caused damage and the police do not rule out that possibility. What they do not tell them is that night he found out and argued a lot bad with Merritt probably, so that not be suspicious. What is clear is that Greer already knew that Merritt was the lover of her husband because the day that he arrived at the rehearsal with the bracelet on. What tag had Amelia acquired? She decides to go looking for things in tag, looking for something that will take her to Merritt. However, he finds nothing and stops. Bad luck is found by her mother-in-law, who warns him and makes it clear to him that there is no need to dig into your house and that he should not re-enter her husband's office, while William decides to climb in through the window. Chloe, the daughter of Officer Dan Carter. Well, I wanted to ask you why you didn't. I answered his messages, however. Officer noticed this and gave him a big scolding to the young man, warning him that should not be allowed to get in again. The window there. We return to the past. And the boys, who are good friends. They escaped from the wedding rehearsal to be able to drink a little away from everyone. And during the night, William cut his hair hand with, we don't know what, and Chloe helped him. With the wound, Abby reveals to Amelia that about the contracts of confidentiality. It is very normal. She signed a long time ago when a teacher Will's particular disappeared from the nothing, something that Amelia didn't know about it, both. To keep up appearances, Greer gives an interview about his book and does not cancels despite everything, and also forces everyone take pictures, pretending to be one. Happy family, obviously the one that is more. Amelia is uncomfortable with all this during family dinner. Amelia can't stand it who thinks, and first asks why. Confidentiality agreements. In addition, also questions about what happened to the Williams teacher. Something that leaves surprised everyone and takes without caring about nothing reveals that his father is. He slept with her, and when he finished with her, the woman tried to commit suicide because of this, that tag, and Keir decided to make a financial agreement to avoid a trial in between, is why the teacher ended up disappearing. William, he gets angry about this because his parents, they always lied to him, and now the young man is the center of attention, as the police begins to suspect him with the death of Merritt, since this was seen arguing with the young woman, and also, they found his fingerprints on a knife who was in the arena. William, devastated for the news, hating everyone and believing that he was to blame because his teacher leaves, decides to take her sailboat and leave in the middle of the night. Friend Chloe doesn't want to leave him and leaves with him, even though this is very dangerous. Amelia now suspects William then found hidden among her things Mary's bracelet. He tells the detective that he suspects that. The whole Winberry family is involved since Tag knew about his pregnancy friend, claiming that they are a family strange because Greer forces you to sign confidentiality agreements to which they live inside the house. Also, something like this happened before with a Williams teacher who disappeared from a day to the next when the detective asks if he thinks Shooter is guilty. Amelia doesn't know what to say about her boyfriend's best friend and only him. Memories of the past come when you. There was a moment alone with Shooter. On the other hand, William is found and scolded by the police chief for having taken his daughter with him in full storm. But not only that, it is questioned for having had the Merritt bracelet under his things. The boy has no choice and reveals that she found out that her father and she were going to have a child. So William decided to offer him money, but Merritt did not accept. And on the bracelet at night, he saw the young man throw it on the beach, something that decided to save it, to return to give it to him since this was very expensive. Amelia confronts Benji for having photos of Mer saved. This one mentions to him that her own friend gave it to her for a portrait that he had asked her for something that Amelia did not seem to believe him completely. Besides that, he questions it. Since when did he know that Mary and his father had a relationship? Something that Benji ends up confessing that I knew long before her. But she realized it because he promised Mare not to tell him. They both make peace and promise not to hide more secrets, something that leaves thinking, Amelia. Well, remember, moments with Shooter. On the other hand, it is revealed that the night of the party, GR confronted Merritt about the clandestine relationship he had with her husband, and after thinking about it. So he decided to take the ballot of the purchase of the bracelet that made Tag, and he handed her over to the police chief, mentioning that he wants them to find the guilty. Amelia can't stop thinking about the connection he had with Shooter in the past, so he goes to look for him and Benji police catch them kissing. Now Tag is taken in for questioning about the Merritt's death and the test that Grit also gave them that already. They received the toxicology test, and it says in light of the fact that Mary ingested a substance which was also the cause of his death, while Taj is questioned and charged with he was the one who ended his lover. Pregnant Greer is ready for the launch of his book as well as Amelia with Abby, with whom she seems increasingly empathize with the efforts of Shout for giving a good, perfect image. All this starts to fail while Tag. He confesses that the night of the party, he had an argument with Mary on the beach because he didn't want to have the baby. But he claims that he had nothing to do with her death and to prove his innocence. Deliver your smartwatch so that check your statement and compare the hours and review all the information that they contain their watch and cell phone, but not the nothing good happens at its launch. Well, a mysterious man who called her constantly appears to cause totally a fuss and screaming makes. They take him out Tag after he is free, also attends the launch. YY completely ruins by declaring before the public that their marriage is perfect. All this is a farce because his wife, he accused the police of being guilty of Merritt's murder, certainly gives a totally embarrassing spectacle. On the other hand, the police, after investigating the devices that gave you tag, they proved that he was not in the schedule that Merritt died. So it is not guilty, moreover, that they discover that Greer has a connection to Brodick, the guy who's been looking for her and calling insistently, who also received a sum of money by Greer's assistant for what the famous novelist is now suspect in Merritt's death today. Next, the police go in search of Grill to interrogate her, and they take her away several of her things to investigate her. All this attracts the press, and the house of the Winberry family is thrown into chaos. The interrogation. The police try get the information and what is its bond with Brother Rick, to whom his assistant paid him a large sum of Greer money, refuses to give any information, mentioning that they are wasting their time. But the police had an ace up his sleeve. These led to Broderick to the same room interrogation where he is confronted with Grill. Seeing themselves cornered and screaming tired of the situation, reveals that he is his brother, and he transferred that to him money because he got into trouble already, who has vices with games. With this, the police have no choice but to leave her free Greer on returning home to sea. He gathered his family and his teamwork, decides to end its secrets, introduces his brother and reveals to him, family, that Taggy and she they met in a gallery as they told us, but it was in a bar where Grill worked as a prostitute, and her brother, he was in charge of getting him clients, which one of them was Tag without a doubt all. This leaves them surprised. Those who do not, they know what to say. Greer makes it clear to his husband that the lies are over and that she will no longer be the one to clean everything. Her disasters at that time, Amelia is interrupted by her father, who he says that one of his mother's houses was stolen. His pills that he used for his euthanasia due to his cancer, deducing who could do it, they conclude that it was Thomas, because he usually steals pills. Of all of them, when questioned, he accepts having done it, but not knowing where it is left, and denies having given it to Merritt. But not only does this put the blame on one old friend of his mother to whom he owes money, because I could only pay him when his brother William turns 18, since all the family would receive a trust. But if I had a child, and I was going to wait 18, another few years, and the trust would be divided. Among 4 children, the police rule out quickly to the woman, because it shows who has no need for money. Besides which proves that on that night of the death of Merritt was with Thomas, having his clandestine romance after returning to review police interrogations, discovers that Abby lied. In his statement, since Thomas did not sleep in that tragic night with her, after investigating it, they finally deduced that it was she who killed Merritt, gave him the pill that Thomas stole and stole in the sure all this. Because if the son of Merritt was born, the family would wait 18 years. And she didn't want to wait that long anymore. That I had planned to buy a department before the arrival of your baby, while Abby now faces charges for homicide, Amelia and Benji. They remain as friends, and each member of his family returns to their own for months. After Greer looks for Amelia at her job to tell him that he needs his authorization. Since he wrote a book about her, he also confesses that if she treated him badly because she was jealous, and that if you like what I wrote, you could meet for dinner. And so this ends story.